if you are dominating and you're winning and meeting your standard, fine. Keep the same thing going. But, our first day in radio here with our first boss is like, you guys are going to have to change 5 to 10 times in your career. You're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to change, right? You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And the impression that I'm getting from Broaddus, I hope I'm relaying it correctly, is that they'd rather be more comfortable with the setup and situation the way it is than get uncomfortable and actually win something legit. And that's really disheartening to hear as a fan. That's very disheartening as a fan base if that is true.
I know a real easy way to get uncomfortable. Go on a long journey for an elite quarterback. Sorry about that. But it's like, look, is the definition of comfort not just saying, hey, look, we know we're going to win 12 games with Mike and Dak. Let's bring them both back. That's comfort. I'm not really advocating saying yeah, I get it. There's a ceiling with Dak, and there's a ceiling with Dak and Mike together, and there's a ceiling with Mike. But this is the absolute comfort is bringing both back together because you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a 12-win team.
Yeah.
And I understand the philosophy of, hey, throw a dart. Get me in the tournament. Throw a dart.
Yeah.
Maybe I get
Let's be the Lions.
Right. I mean, the Lions got...
Be the Lions. Be the Bucks.
Yep, the Lions needed one upset. They needed one upset. I mean, they needed to win a tough game against the Rams.
Yeah.
But then all it took was one upset for them to go from playing a road game against Dallas to a home game against Baker Mayfield.
Well, what they need now is just one upset. They're one upset away against San Fran from being in the Super Bowl. And so you can take that approach, right? You can get invited to the party, or you can be the master of ceremonies. And it sounds like Steven and them are fine just being invited to the party.
It's so frustrating to look at because of this, is that regardless of what somebody thinks of Dak or whatever else, he clearly played up near a top 3 MVP candidate level this year. And he's played at high levels before. He consistently has played below that at the playoff run. So at that point you just say okay, is it the stage or what's the issue here? The problem is that they always swap out this or that, or okay, this is the issue this offseason, we're going to fix that. This is the issue this offseason, we're going to fix that. And then it proves that none of it's there. It really does feel like this just unattainable issue or unidentifiable issue that's out there, and I don't know what it is that just prevents them from playing up to that level. And I don't know, there's no easy fix for it. I'm going to be incredibly curious to see in 5 weeks when they're in Indianapolis and they stand up there like they do every offseason and go here's our top agenda item. A couple years ago, we got to be tougher. We got to be more physical. We need glass eaters. And then last year was, we got to lower these interceptions. We got to run the ball better. We got to change up the offense. I don't know what convincing off-season issue you can present.
Nothing.
In 5
all
weeks.
All talk.
Yeah, and they'll have to give us something because they always do.
Yeah.
But I don't know what in the world they're potentially, because it's it felt like you covered a lot of the thing. My guess is they're going to say, run game, man. Both sides of the ball. Got to stop the run. Got to run the ball better. That is our mission this offseason, to get better on both.
I thought that was last year's reason for Kellen being gone.
I mean, yeah.
Want to run the damn ball? Romo used to say, the goal is just to get better at one thing each year. It was either Romo or Dirk. I can't remember. They're both the same.
Yeah, totally. Same number of titles.
It may have been Dirk, actually. Just said get better at one thing each year. Organizationally, you can get better at multiple things. It doesn't have to be just one. You have to limit it to just one. Cowboys just zone in on one different thing every year.
I will say
the follow-up question. Go ahead, Bobby.
I was just going to say, I will say that if you, and I know this is very off-putting to you, Chop, but if you look at the 4 teams that are left in the playoffs right now, one common thing, they all have different things in common, but if you want to say what's one common thing that they all have that Dallas does not, they all have really, really good linebackers. All of them. Dallas, San Francisco, Baltimore, we already know about their guys. Detroit went and spent draft capital on Jack Campbell, and Alex Anzalone had a really nice year. Kansas City's got Nick Bolton. They've gotten really good linebacker play. Really good linebackers in the middle of those defenses. And so, I mean, that may be something that they have to adjust to. But if they don't buy into the value of investing in linebacker near the top, which is something you would agree with, I know, Chop. But if they don't buy into that, I don't know that fundamentally you can change their mind on that.
Well, I mean, they changed their mind on one techniques, right? They drafted one in the first round.
Right.
But Dan Quinn has always had the view that one techniques matter.
Sure.
If Dan Quinn has not viewed linebacker as important as...
He had Bobby Wagner.
Right, but where was he taken? He's third round, Wagner?
Second. He was a second rounder.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could... That's the thing. I think you can get, like, the difference between elite and great at that one position is far different than the difference between elite and great at another. And, like, can you find great somewhere else?
Well, let's talk about more of the overall approach. I guess the follow-up question to this is, should Stephen Jones be questioning himself? To what degree? Of course, you question yourself when you keep coming up short, right? You should, if you have enough pride. But to what level? To what degree? Ryan has Stephen Jones up on the fan cam. I don't know. It's like this guy's a sorcerer. he somehow he's got a Dionne Warwick ball back there on the hotline. He can just predict the future. I don't know how I didn't even tell him we were going to do this, and he's showing Stephen Jones up there before I say his name.
Dionne Warwick.
Yeah. Is it Warwick?
It's Warwick.
No, it's Dionne Warwick.
It's Dionne Warwick. You're right.
I don't know any other fortune teller like predictor, like the medium.
Right? Yeah.
Dionne Warwick was a singer.
I know, but Dionne Warwick had a
psychic hotline or something.
Psychic hotline.
I think,
You don't remember that?
I don't remember anything about her being a singer. I know she was, but she's more known for, I believe, psychic hotline. Please confirm this, so I didn't misrepresent her. I thought Dionne Warwick is the the future teller.
Yeah,
am I crazy?
It was a Psychic Friends network. Yes, the Psychic Friends.
Yeah, no one thinks that Dionne Warwick.
I get Miss Cleo. You say Dionne Warwick, I think singer.
So she did like infomercials for the Psychic Friends network.
There's some Tyler guy, medium. Amanda always watches. I say he's a crook. But anyway, to what degree should Stephen Jones be questioning himself? I have put together 12-win rosters. Everyone every year looks at us as a top 5 talented team in the league. Now, we're obviously missing something, but Bobby, you've talked about it over and over. Like, the Cowboys have talent, and they have double-digit win talent to win the division every other year. So how much do you question yourself and be like, why should I blow this up? Why should I wreck this? Because we're not exactly where we want to be, but we're a playoff team. We're a 12-win team is no joke. 12-win team.
No, it's 3 straight years.
I mean, come on now. That's freaking impressive.
It's very impressive. They've done a good job of it. And then you've got to really figure out what the main reason why they have failed is. And like, it could be a number of reasons. Sometimes in some game, and that's the thing with judging it by just playoff games, in any game, the faults could be thrown on multiple. This year could be Mike. The previous year could be Dak. The previous year could be Zeke. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it could, or Kellen. It could have been anything. You could throw these things onto different people every time.
You know what's interesting is consistently Garrett. When Garrett was here, there was never really questions about culture or effort. Like we always said, like they never quit on Garrett, everything like that. But one of the things that drove people nuts about Garrett was him and his coaching staff seemed to have way too much interest in their personnel evaluations, and we would feel like at times like, why is there this war between the personnel department and the coaching staff? Why are we letting the coaching staff, Rod Marinelli, who we love, Rod Marinelli, listener to this station, listener to this show.
Oh, wow.
But why are we letting Rod Marinelli or Chris Richard or Jason Garrett or Scott Linehan like pick players over these evaluators who have figured it out? So now we've got a staff that in large part has, it feels like, kind of stepped back and let the evaluators pick it, and you like that because now the talent's built up. But now you consistently feel like there have been too many times where the preparation's not right or the culture's not right. Like, it makes me wonder, like, if you could have gotten culture, like could Garrett have potentially, like, or not even Garrett, just anybody, is culture the biggest thing that's just missing at this point? Like, do you need somebody to come in here and basically get out of the way, let the personnel department pick the players and everything else, and then have a coach here who's going to instill preparation and culture and toughness and effort above scheme because you've got the players to make it work?
I thought their culture was good with Garrett.
I know, that's what I'm saying, is that culture was good with Garrett, but a lot of times got too involved meddling in terms of trying to have a voice in personnel and not just letting the scouts do their job, so you end up with Taco Charltons and Tristan Hills.
I think this needs to be a collection of badasses that don't go to jail. That's what I want. This is about running to help Dak, stopping run, toughness. Toughness in quarterback play in the big playoff moments. Those are my top two things. It's just not they're tough. They're not a tough enough and a dumb football team.
Yes.
Little small details. They always come up short. They just do. And I think that they like each other a lot. I think they like McCarthy. I just think it's a little bit too comfortable. I think that the players in the locker room are as comfortable as Steven and the front office are. I think they and I just think that they all like each other. But sometimes, you need, what does Steinbrenner say about smooth sailing?
Lead follow. You say lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way.
Or smooth sails, smooth waters. Make for no sail. The boat doesn't go anywhere when the water isn't there. You know what I mean? It's a saying.
I'm just going to Google Steinbrenner boat quote.
Yeah, Steinbrenner would say, right? You need rough water. It'll come in here on the text. Peyton, let me know when it does. You need some rough waters for the boat to move.
Broaddus and I were talking about this yesterday on Love the Star, which is out now. Peyton actually got on top of things and posted it this morning. We actually are going to record 2 on Thursday nights. We'll bank up a few for you guys.
Sweet.
Broaddus had talked about this yesterday. We were kicking around the idea of how many players would you actually say fit what you're looking for in terms of toughness right now and intensity and things like that. And Bryan said, I think you've got guys who are genuinely real tough, glass eater, good culture guys. He's like, but I think you've only got 8 of them. He's like, just from the outside, I look and I go, Donovan Wilson's tough, DeMarcus Lawrence, Jake Ferguson, CeeDee Lamb, Dak. I think these are tough guys, but you don't have enough of them. That was Nate Newton's criticism over at DallasCowboys.com for the final month of the season. He's like, you don't have just mean MFers right now.
And San Fran does. Mm-hmm. Oh, you got, is it a Tolo sent what it was?
Yeah, 469 came in clutch, said smooth waters never made a good sailor.
There it is.
There was the other one that was from SI, a ship that sails on a calm sea goes nowhere.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was trying to say, Gilligan.
Yeah.
The motion of the ocean. That's another one.
Yeah.
Trucker.com text line. Sean just had a stroke there. Let's see. Smooth waves don't make good sailors. Like you said, not the size of the boats, the motion of the ocean.
There we go.
Let's see. And then never going to win the big one with Dak.
You know what I would like to ask Stephen Jones as well one time? Would you ever consider, would there be circumstances where you would fire yourself in some circumstances? Because Jerry gets that all the time, right? His answer is no. To me, if you're in that position and you are not doing what you can in order to try to win the championship, you're failing. But are you just comfortable? Are you just too comfortable? Now, how many? It's really irritating. It's frustrating.
Philosophically, they just believe, and their stance on it philosophically is, they're going to have to come to me anyway to get the okay. So I'm just bypassing that.
Oh, and philosophically, they're saying, name me the general manager firings that took place this offseason. Who got run? Off the top of our heads. Who got
Telesco.
Tom Telesco.
Okay. Carolina's GM.
Yep. And off the top of my head, that's the only ones I can remember. I'm sure there are others, but those are the ones I know of off the top of my head.
And Jerry would say, okay, what's the hit rate on new GM hires? What's the average time that these general managers stay with their teams? So your way of putting in a so-called GM isn't necessarily the better one. That's what they would say. But that's where we are. That's where we are. But my bottom line is, nothing they say, I'm done listening to it and believing it. Nothing they say means anything. None of it lands. Right? It's like your friend who is, well, I promise, and I this, and I just shut up. Do it. Talk is cheap. No more of it. And I, like a dummy, waited way too long to finally come to that realization where Bassick and other Tolos are like, dude, we told you this 13 years ago when you started. We told you this every year since. We tell you this every Tuesday at 8:45 or 9 o'clock when Jerry is done with the weekly interview. And I just did not want to believe, and I could not believe that they were fine with the status quo as is. Would they prefer to win the championship? Of course. But is it bugging them enough to drastically change? And right now the clear answer is no. And that is That's really that really pisses me off.
You know what? What would be refreshing to me is, like you just say, essentially acknowledging that they know they have to show more than their words. Like, I don't want to hear any more Dak stand up there and say, like, well, this damn sure isn't our standard. Like, he always likes to throw in the extra damn into his answer to, like, really punctuate the seriousness. But, like, oh, this damn sure isn't our standard. No, you need to say that this has become the reality of what the standard in your building is. Like, this is the standard. If it wasn't the standard, more people would lose their jobs, players and coaches, and that would happen if that wasn't the standard, because you failed to meet whatever this imaginary standard has been for 27 years. I don't want to hear Mike McCarthy get upset about people questioning certain things within the building, because it's like, no, because every time you've gotten bowed up about this, it's proven to be wrong. Jerry, I don't want to see Jerry say, like, oh, this is the easiest path we've had. Don't talk about easy paths anymore, because easy paths have never equated to you changing anything or getting different results over 27 years. So I would like to see them have an awareness of that, and an awareness that their words don't matter, and say, look, I can argue with you all day long and present my case. The reality is we have to show it, and there's no point in trying to convince you otherwise. We just have to convince you with results.